Have you heard about the new card visual in Power BI? Let's go check out some of the looks that you can get with this new awesome visual. I'm Allison Gonzalez. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer here at Pragmatic Works. And in this episode of my design series here on our YouTube channel, I'm going to show you the new card visual that is now in Power BI. This is such a great step up from the original card visual that is in Power BI. This released in the June 2023 release. And what's awesome about this is that even though it's in preview features, it was pushed live to everyone with that update. So if it did not automatically happen for you, you can go into preview features if you have that latest version and allow it. But when you get that June update, it should just automatically drop it into your visuals. So let's go take a look. We're going to see all the different looks and feels and things we are able to modify with this visual. All right, so on this page, I've got a bunch of different card visuals, and yes, these are all done with the exact same visual. I've also got some sliders at the top just to kind of move around and control the data a bit, but let's go through, let's look at the options and see how I was able to make each of these cards. Now, first one up is an awesome one. So we'll go through the basic structure of the card visual and your options for it. But we also have a really snazzy, fun feature in here that I'm going to talk more about when we get there. Now, the card visual, when you are looking in your visuals, it is going to be right here. Look at that. It looks like the normal card visual, which is over here, but this one's got a lightning bolt. It's the extra special card version. And again, this just dropped in as soon as I did that June update. Now, you can also check for yours in options and settings and options and go into your preview features. I can see right here, this very bottom one is that new card visual. And again, as soon as I got that update, it was already checked and in my visuals for me. Again, everything you add in preview features, as soon as you hit OK, if you change or modify something, you will have to just restart Power BI. So close, reopen, and it should be there for you. All right, so when we add in a card visual, you can see here are our formatting options here. So starting off at the top, size and style, of course, size and position. This is just your normal where it's at on the page, and the size of the actual visual, which I can manually control from here or just drag the little edges around as much as I would like. We've got our normal padding area to control. I'm able to add a background to the actual visual. I have this off on mine, but that would extend that space to the edge. We can also have a border to the visual space and a shadow again on that visual space. So you can also control these. I have them off for this one. Next up is the title section. I also have this off because we have a great way to move this around the text that's already here. So I'm going to show you that. But if I did have my title area on, I would be able to add my title in here. Here's all of my options for adjusting the alignment of it. I can even add subtitles. I can have a divider and adjust spacing in here. So if you're not sold on the options I'm going to give you for this one, you can always add in title and you get a bunch more. Next up is our shape, and this is where it gets fun. So we have 3 shape options, but we get some more options within those options, which I will show you as we get through some of these other ones. So this one's just a regular rectangle. Next up is the call out. And so in our call out, we have our values and our label. So our values, of course, are the actual item we're measuring here. And then the label is that description. So inside of our values, you can see we can control our font size, color, shape, size, all of that good stuff. We can even adjust transparency if we really needed to. We can adjust our horizontal alignment. There is vertical alignment, as you can see from some of these, that we'll get to a little bit, but this one just controls it horizontally. So it can be left aligned, centered, or right aligned. You can choose your display units like you can in most visuals if you want to change that from auto into setting it custom. And of course, adjust your decimal places as well. Now, next is your label settings. And here in your label settings, again, looks really similar to your values where you get your font size, color. If you want bold, italic, underline, transparency. This is where it gets cool, is you get to decide where you would like this, whether you want that above the value or below the value. It's really cool. You can flip-flop those around, see which one looks best for you. We also have a spacing section, so I can space this out again, and you would see as you're adding that spacing in how that would drop down or move up even more. But we're going to talk about vertical alignment as we get through here. Next up is layout, and there it is, that vertical alignment. So of course we have that top, the centered, or the bottom. This one's not adjusting because I have something special in here we're going to show next. This option right here for horizontal, grid, or vertical, I'm going to talk more about in a little bit, along with the space between card option. Then finally we get down to our cards, and this is where it is a ton of fun and you have so many options. Now, first off, I can adjust the padding in here. So wide, normal, narrow, or custom. In the fill section, this is where I am adjusting this color. Now we can set the color, we can set conditional formatting on here. We can also bring in background images. So I have a background image in here, so it doesn't matter what color I have chosen, but that background image is going to show through. However, if I adjust the transparency of that background image, then whatever color I have is going to showcase there. Then we have our border, and with the border, of course, it is not required. There's some you'll see that do not have the border on, but if you do have your border on, you can see you're able to make that larger. You can adjust the transparency of that as much as you like. You can also adjust the conditional formatting. You can add a shadow. Some of these do have shadows, as you can see, and you can control the positioning of that. There could also be a glow, and again, this one does not, but some of these do, and you'll see we'll have some different color options for that. Now here is where this one gets really fun. So there is an image area, and you can see I have some icons uploaded into these, but this first one right here, this super awesome sparkline that we see here. This is a awesome section of code that we put into a measure, and then we're able to save that measure as an image URL, and we're able to bring it in here to the visual. So you can see in that image type, I could select just a regular image, which is how these just standard icons show up, or we get that image URL, which there we can go into our conditional formatting and we can link to that measure that we created. Now we're going to take a look at that in a minute, and I'm going to link in the description exactly where I got that code so that way you are able to get that and use it too. I can adjust the transparency, so if I want that brighter or darker, I can adjust its position. It's the same for any image, left, right, bottom, or top. Of course, we've got more padding, and then I can adjust my size. So as I increase the size, you can see that is increasing. As I decrease the size, you'll see that more. So you can play around with that to get it the best size possible for you. We also have an accent bar. It is off on this one, but I'm going to show you on the next one how you can adjust that. Now let's take a look at this sparkline that was added in. Now, here is the super awesome website that I got this code from. There are tons of really awesome things you're able to do. So if you're looking to dive into expanding your visuals and adding lots of extra details in, and you're not afraid of adjusting a little bit of DAX, this is a great resource. So I went with the sparklines, and I just used this regular area sparkline here. And all I had to do was grab this code and make a few modifications to fit my data, and it was working like a charm. But we can see it's a DAX measure to create SVG images for use in matrix or table visuals. But guess what? It also works here in this new card. Now, here are some of the other awesome things on this site that you are able to get. It's also filtered into different varieties of file types that you may want to play around with. So some really cool things to get your visuals, get your reports going into that next level. We were specifically looking over here at those sparklines. Again, I'll have this site linked below in the description. So with that code copied, I created a new measure. And with that new measure, I simply pasted in that section of code. I then modified it to fit my data, so the tables, dates, and measures that were relevant to what I was using. I also made another change. Here in the code, there were two things that I took out of the end result that I was not needing. I took out this and I took out this. So I just simply knocked that section out, and it was good to go. So do note, unless you're using this exact fake data set, you would have to modify these to fit in with your data. But relatively easy to do, super clean to read this with the variables set in here. So you should be able to do this just fine. So once I had that adjusted, I want to point out a few things that you're able to change in here. So I can see right here, this is the actual SVG image URL that gets created. And in here, you're able to modify your colors. Now I just put hex codes in, but you could also just manually type in blue. I think it comes defaulted as navy, but I wanted to have specific colors, so I just pasted the hex codes in there. Then, of course, hit that check mark, hit that OK, and then pulled that URL in. It is really important, though, that when you make this, you go up to your data category, and this gets set as an image URL. So not a web URL. This makes sure to be an image URL. And that is such an awesome look. You can see it also, as I go through, adjust my slicers and change. You can see that is adjusting with the data as well. I have multiple years in here. I also have a month filter in my filter pane, adjusting things too. Let's go through the rest of these and see the actual changes I made to get these working. Now for this one right here, can see when we switch over to our formatting, for this shape, I used a rounded rectangle, and you're able to adjust how round you would like those corners, which is really fun. So you can round a little bit, a lot of it, whatever you want to do. You are also able, if you hit customize, to manually round one corner at a time. So if you want different corners to be different rounded amounts to make more of a random kind of abstract shape, go for it. You can do that. The other thing that I have adjusted on here, I have this left align. I flipped this text to be below here, and I also have my accent bar on. So here in the accent bar, you can see we can position that left, right, bottom, or top. We can adjust our transparency on there, and we can, of course, adjust our width. So this one, very cool, easy to play around with. Control that rounded rectangle curve. Now this one is a very fun one. It almost looks like we got a box going on in here. But again, this one, if we go up to our shape, we did the snipped tab both tops, and I just kept that at 25% for the top ones. and left the bottom at 0. So I just did the top and left the bottom alone. Of course, if you do customize, you're able to control which corners you want, as I did on these two down here. Then I adjusted my accent bar for the top position and made it fill in the rest of that space. For this one over here, again, it was that snipped top shape, but this time we did it with the customize, so that way I could do the top left and the bottom right. And I moved my accent bar over to the right side. You can see on this row down here, I also have images added in. Now for these images in our card section, in the image section, these are just a regular image. So one of the places that I would recommend looking to find icons is flaticon.com. There are so many free icons that you are able to use. I will link the exact ones that I used below as well. But tons of these, you download them as a PNG and they are super easy to use. So once I had that saved to my computer, all I had to do was then upload it here. I could set it from fill, fit, or normal to get the sizing I wanted. You can adjust transparency and of course adjust your position. So you do need to make sure that your text position corresponds. So I'd want my text at the top if I have my image on the bottom, or I want my text on the left if I want my image on the right. We've got our padding and our size here, so you can play with that icon size to make it larger or smaller to fit your aesthetic for your report. Now for this one, we actually have a background image in. So I can see for the fill area, I have a background in, and I have this one set to fit. For this one, we also have another icon in, and this icon is now at the top. So I have my text set to the bottom to align that one in. And then we also have this set up over here, which this one is a snipped tab, but I did the left and the top left and the bottom left. So again, to get all four, just hit that customize style one. I also have a drop shadow on here. You can see I've got a drop shadow, and you can adjust your positioning for that drop shadow. And of course, you can also do it inside. I generally not a fan of that look when it happens, but I would suggest keeping it to the outside and just adjusting where your position is going. I would also say if you have multiple visuals and you want that drop shadow on, make sure that you're putting it in the same position for all of your visuals, or aesthetically it's just gonna look confusing. Now, let's talk about our bottom option. I think this is one of the most exciting things with the card visual with this new one, is that you can add in multiple items all in one, and it is going to give them their own card. Now, this is so exciting because this means there is one place where you are able to modify all of these. So very similar to how when they got the navigation options. So in the buttons in that navigator, how now we're able to just select the navigator, modify everything at once instead of having to put every single one in. Really same concept. Now with this, we're able to have one place to modify each of these, but as you notice, there's a different icon on each one. And that's what's so great about this, is that you are able to apply the settings to either all of the cards all at once, which I would suggest doing for all of your main setups, your fonts, your backgrounds, your sizing, everything like that. But then if you want to have particular things on each of those items, then you can go one by one and then change all of those things individually for just that card. So this is a really awesome adjustment. I have some more that we're going to play around with over here on this page because I want to show you the layout. Because with this layout option, this is where we can choose, do we want the grid layout? Do we want it to be vertical? Do we want it to be horizontal? We can decide that space between cards. And if we have it in a grid, well, we can decide how many rows we want it to be and how many columns we want it to be. So we can really get nitty-gritty with exactly how we want this to be laid out. And then of course, with all of our cards, we can adjust everything all at the same time, or I can just individually go to one. Let's say I'm going to modify just the profit one. If I wanted to, then let's say instead of this background, I could change it to this. And we would see that just adjust for the one that I have selected in the series. So this card visual is awesome. There's even more functionality for this card visual than just the aesthetics, but I wanted to make sure I could show you all of the changes, all of these things that you're able to do aesthetically to make this card visual just shine in your reports. Now, if you have one-off cards, definitely just grab it, use it. But if you also have multiple cards where you're going to have them all in a row, then 100% you're able to just easily click, 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 add anything else in that you want. You can see that automatically adjusts to add that new item in, retains all of that additional formatting that I have added, just resizing it to fit. So this card visual, I think, is a game changer. It makes it so much easier. There were lots of great custom cards out there, but this, I think, really eliminates the need to have to download something else extra and have this available right here in Power BI natively for you to use. We know, hey, it's first iteration, it's in preview mode still. It only is going to get better from here as feedback is given and little tweaks and things are made to fix any glitches or bugs that are going on. So I'm excited to use this. Leave a comment below if you've tried it out, played with it, or used it yet. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe so you will know whenever we have new videos out here on our Pragmatic Works channel, which of course are all about things on the Power Platform. And I will see you in the next video.